Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another episode. I think this will be our 20th episode of the DarkMatch. We made it 20 episodes, everybody.
Hey.
Milestone.
I don't have a confetti gun on me, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We'll shoot some guns after the show into the air.
As usual, I am No Leaf Clover. Joining me on the show is
the Revolver Man,
Magpie, Cuckoo.
And I'm your foxy friend Backlash. And wouldn't you know it, it's time for yet another visit from our old friend the Iron Sheik. If you do not respect the 50 cent, you'll become less than penny and piece of garbage. I make you humble.
I did not know that the Sheik was a gangster rap fan. I have to admit that.
I know. She can get down in the hood.
We should invite Sheik. If you're listening to this, we want you on the show. We love you, man. We got to hear this guy.
God, if we got him on the show, we might actually get over 10 viewers.
Damn straight.
Over 10 viewers.
Oh, gee.
At any rate, like I said, welcome back to the DarkMatch. This is our monthly TNA pay-per-view episode, and we are going to be recapping the biggest pay-per-view of the year for TNA. I don't know what the biggest pay-per-view of the year for TNA is.
I've heard many suggestions that it's at least 3 different pay-per-views, so we can assume that they don't have one, because when it comes to TNA, they're never on top.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about TNA Lockdown. It was live from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I have never heard a crowd from Ohio be more dead.
Or as I like to call the show, men fighting in chicken coops, because the fucking Impact cage looks like a chicken coop.
I think you should just shorten down the title to Fighting in the Chicken Coop 7.
Has it been 7? Has it been 7 lockdowns already?
It's been 7 lockdowns.
Yeah. It looks like they built the thing 20 minutes before the show started.
Wait a minute. Do you mean we have to have a cage for our cage match pay-per-view? Fuck!
Get out there and set it up now.
At least we didn't see any zip ties, unlike sometimes you'd see in WCW.
Let's see. We got some bolts and some baling wire left over. Yeah, that'll make a good cage.
Oh boy! And to kick the night off right, you have to talk about the Lockdown Cage Match X Division Escape. X Division Escape rules are quite simple. You see, first it's a tag team elimination match, and the last 2 people in the match, one of them has to climb over the top of the cage to win the match. Simple. Quite simple. In this match, we had Amazing Red versus Brian Kendrick versus Chris Sabin versus Jeremy Buck versus Max Buck versus Robbie E versus Suicide versus Jay Lethal.
Oh my God, he has screen time.
He has screen time.
Oh my God. Someone insert the Hallelujah chorus. Holy shit, Jay Lethal is going to be on a pay-per-view.
It was awesome. I know we harp on that joke, but we really root for Jay Lethal, and when he gets screen time, we feel like we win, guys. Do you share that? We win, too.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't get a bunch of screen time, but at least he was there. At least they acknowledge that Jay Lethal exists. That's more than they've done in the past.
It's great. I mean, sure, this match was just you put... Again, with the lockdown concept, I get it, but at the same time, you're taking the X Division, which is wild and crazy. You're taking some of your most talented guys, except for Suicide and Robbie E, and you just put them in a confined space and have them tag. Does it seem like it makes that match a little bit boring, even though those were some good exchanges in the opening parts of the matches, but it seems like they're confining all the talent.
That's what it ends up being.
Pretty much. That's mostly what the X Division is. It gets to be a clusterfuck a lot of times, but most of the time, those guys in there can make it entertaining.
Yeah, go right ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, the one thing I have to say is, Robbie E does not belong in the X Division.
Agreed.
He can't do any of the high spots that are expected from that. Mm-hmm. I know he's a good, I've seen his indie matches. He's a good mat-based grappler, but he's not a high flyer, which is what the X Division.
It's the thing. It's not even about really the high. I mean, though X Division is notoriously known for being a high fly thing. I mean, originally it started that, but with X Division, when you had like guys like Samoa Joe starting to get into the mix, and Loki, even though he can do high things, his style is very unorthodox because he bases it on a Aikido or Aikido. I can't pronounce it. Aikido, thank you. He based it on that, so it started to bring in, like, X Division wasn't just about high flying spots, it was having that extraordinary thing that you put into it that no other wrestlers can try to reflect, and Robbie E., like I agree with Backlash, doesn't have that.
Yeah, the gist of this match, we would get into spots, but this whole thing kind of showcases what was one of the major problems with the pay-per-view, which was that you could take this match outside of the cage, and it still would have been a relatively good match. But for a bunch of X Division high-flying guys, they made absolutely no use of the cage. There were no real high spots. A couple guys got rammed into the cage, but other than that, this is probably the least creative X Division-based cage match I think I've ever seen.
And it's not just cage match, because like with cage matches and X Division, they've had matches with like multiple guys in there, but and again, I think this contributes like part of the cage confining them. It's like you look at the Global X Cup, those matches, and the gauntlets and things like that. They had all those guys working in there, but all the wrestlers were able to like, okay, you're going to do this and this time and this time, so it showed off every piece of the talent. And instead of just having Brian Kendrick sit down and do nothing, or have guys wait in the end, so it's like, is it our turn to do a spot? Is it our turn?
Yeah, it wasn't a very good match. I mean, no. I'll take that back. It wasn't a bad match. It was an okay match. It was just, it didn't seem...
It's clear that with so many X Division guys in there, they didn't put a lot of effort into it because none of them were going to get showcased, especially in the fact that the view was obscured by the fact that they were fighting in the chicken coop.
Yeah, it was just not a bad match. I keep reiterating that because I don't want to seem like we're harping on, the good stuff, because this was a good match. It was a match that didn't have to take place in a cage, and it was a match that it was just so clusterfucky, and the rules were weird, and that's another trend that happens in this pay-per-view. Just weird rules, weird stipulations, weird finishes.
And one other thing about
it was a very Russo thing. It was a very Russo match.
And with having all that talent in one match, they could have easily taken apart like individual talent and built and made their card a little bit longer and had more quality matches in there. Like, what would you rather see, an escape match with all these guys in there doing what they did, even though the first half was good and had some exchanges, or would you rather just see Matthew Buck versus Jeremy Buck, X Division for just wrestling just to settle their grudge? Chris Sabin goes against Amazing Red for number one contendership for the title.
Yeah, I agree. If there had been a one-on-one match, even like if they had done like the triple threat matches, or if maybe Jeremy Buck and Max Buck didn't still dress in the same fucking tights, it was just a weird match. The finish basically comes. I forget the finish to this match. That's not good.
Yeah, this pay-per-view left an impression on us, folks.
Yeah, really.
Here's the order of elimination, guys. Suicide first, then Jay Lethal, then Red, then Sabin, then Buck, then Robbie E, and then it was just Kendrick and Max left. And basically there was the overbooked finish of it. Matt climbs the cage, he's over, and I have to say, I'm surprised. Max Buck is the X Division number one contender.
Yeah, let's break up a perfectly good tag team just to further a plot line and slow down a division.
Yeah.
Are you bashing Bucks? Are you bashing the Bucks, Magpie, as singles competitors?
No, they're extraordinary talents. It's just, let's give them a fair run as a tag team, maybe get them for contendership for the gold. They don't win off the first bat. They have interesting matches with Beer Money, which if they can get a one-on-one just a match with Beer Money, it would showcase their talents off in a meaningful way. Maybe beat out Inking for a number one contendership, and then go and then get the belts. Let's use the tag team while they have it.
because there's not a whole lot of interesting tag teams anymore, you know? It's just, like, Max and Jeremy were at least, as much as they could be kind of high-spotty and shit like that, you know?
They know how to work together, and they're interesting as a team.
Yeah.
And they know how to implement tag team moves. And they're like, you have Lando Jordan and Eric Young, and those guys don't know how to really do tag moves together. I mean, they could do passable things, but they're not a tag team based thing. They don't understand that mindset. Those guys should have been singles competitors, if anything. Oh, Eric Young, yeah, he was on tag teams, but Orlando Jordan doesn't really grasp the concept of it, so I think that drags him down a bit.
Well, after this match, because, you know, we have to have talking on our fucking pay-per-view, Eric Bischoff comes out and pretty much for 10 minutes says nothing. Am I right about that?
Oh, he says something, and I have a big issue with what he says. He says that Hogan intends to get the world title off of Sting. We're setting up, in 2011, Hogan versus Sting for the world title.
And
we'll see where we are.
And Hogan is going over.
Oh, he will. He will. It's like, when I remember being a kid, I remember watching Stargate 97. That match, Hogan versus
Starcade,
Sting.
not Stargate, Magpie.
Oh, sorry, guys. I watch a lot of science fiction. I apologize. Thanks for the save for all, man. Yeah, I remember the feeling of that match. You were excited. Everybody was on their feet. Everyone wanted to watch this match. And if they're trying to recapture what Starcade 1997 had, they're not going to. It's not even going to get close to that. And I
they might. I just realized something, you guys. With Eric Bischoff's son being one of the refs, do you think we're going to have the repeat of the Starcade 97 finish where Hogan gets the fast count?
So
that could happen. We're probably going to see, like, if anything they want to do, it's going to be the fact that Sting gets almost no offense. I don't know if they can do it. Being as fucked up, but
the ultimate problem with Hogan is even if he gets all the offense, he's still going to do more damage to himself because he's had radical spinal fusion surgery.
There is no reason why in 2011, with Hulk Hogan having the career he had, that he has to wrestle.
It's called his ex-wife has a boat called Alimony. That's why.
You gotta admit though, even though that's sad, that's a clever name.
Is it in his contract that he gets more money if he wrestles? If that's the case, what a fucking idiot that guy is for signing a contract like that. It makes no sense whatsoever for fucking Hulk Hogan to be. Why is he trying to wrestle? Why are they? No one wants to see Sting versus Hulk Hogan.
What TNA has become simply is just TNA. We were making the joke how it just exists at this point, the way it is and the quality. They're just making this to piss us off, but it's divulged into people stroking their ego. They have guys like Hogan, Bischoff, and all those dudes want to stroke their ego and stay where they are, so they're just like stuck in their ways. And then they have guys like Jeff Hardy and RVD who really aren't producing anymore, and they should have given up a long time ago, and they want to be there because they know they'll get supported by stroking their ego and doing the minimal amount of effort, and it's fucking horrendous.
Well, you know what, Hogan? You go ahead and have your match against Sting, because I know there's going to be a point where you try to do something, we might actually see him try and bust out the boot. He'll lift up his leg, he'll get it nowhere near up there, and he's just going to fall to the ground screaming like a baby.
Dude, one leg drop.
No, he won't, because you know before that match, he is going to be free-lining morphine directly into his spine.
But he hits his finisher. Like, if that's a spot, if you want to end it with his finisher, or they want to reproduce the finger poke of doom or turn Sting heel, there's a lot of stupid options they can do. But if he does a leg drop as his finish, he's fucked the way his spine is. I mean, I had a simple back injury that was last year. It was just my SI joint. That hurt like hell, and it's not even anywhere close to what Hogan's feeling. So I don't even want to imagine how much that's going to hurt.
I guarantee at some point in that match, we're just going to see him collapse on the ground and EMTs rushing to the ring, and we're going to laugh and laugh and laugh.
No, we're not going to laugh. We're going to be horrified.
I will laugh. I don't have any sympathy left for Hulk Hogan. Fuck Hulk Hogan.
You forgot one thing, Backlash. The EMTs are going to put the stretcher Hogan's on Sting, so Sting can still get the 1, 2, 3 and win the title.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably spin it to Hogan fought so valiantly and gave Sting his effort that he had to be carried out, and that's the type of warrior Hogan is, and I just died a little bit on the inside because I came to that realization.
At any rate,
match 4-way tornado tag: Inc. versus Crimson and Steiner versus Orlando Jordan and Eric Young versus Magnus and Douglas.
No reason for this match.
Was this tornado tag?
No,
they were tagging in the match, weren't they?
They were tagging in the match. This wasn't tornado tag.
They can't understand the concept of gimmicks and the names and what it implies in the rules. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they called it tornado tag. They just didn't know what tornado tag meant.
Oh, God damn it. There was no reason for this match.
It was hard to watch. It didn't make sense. Once again, 8 people in a small cage that's hard to see through to begin with. You know, I will give TNA this credit, though. They were smart enough to put holes for cameras, so some angles were good. But I have to take that right away when they kept using the shaky hand cam for the matches.
Yeah, it's just... you couldn't see anything, and what you could see, it wasn't that good. Again,
if I wanted to see... It's like if I wanted to see shitty cameras and bad angles, I would have watched Cloverfield. So unless that monster's going to show up and destroy the place they're at, I don't want to see fucking shaky cams. It's not realistic, and it makes it look incompetent job.
If Cloverfield showed up at Impact, Hogan would have to bury him.
Yeah. Cloverfield, fucking job.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, guys, we actually
hard to Hogan.
We actually forgot a segment before the tag match. The interview backstage with Scott Steiner.
Oh no!
Yes, where he claimed that he was so happy to be in Cincinnati. How many strokes has that guy had?
I don't know.
He had any, which might be even worse.
Early Alzheimer's?
The steroids have caused like a chemical debalance in his brain, so the lobes are separating. So it's kind of like a repeating, stuttering message when the lobes are trying to talk to each other in there.
But and one more point about this match: isn't Crimson and Scott Steiner supposed to be feuding with Immortal? I mean, that's why Scott Steiner was brought back.
Yeah, that was forgotten almost immediately after Steiner came back.
And then Eric Bischoff goes on Monday Night Mayhem, and they say the reason why they brought him back, and this was a long time ago, that interview, they say the reason why they brought him back is because he's a workhorse.
What workhorse? He
said Scott Steiner was a workhorse. I swear to God.
Oh, well, he was back in 1992.
Agreed. He was an amazing athlete when he was in the Steiner brothers. Problem was he got roided up and became fucking boring and uninteresting. Unless he said something absurd.
Which he has done, but yes. So after Scott Steiner proves that you don't need a stroke to talk like one,
this match, it wasn't a bad match. It just was a nothing match. Nothing happened in this match. There was no reason for this match. I guess British Invasion is feuding with Young and Jordan-ish, and Crimson and Scott Steiner kind of had an issue with Inc., but that still didn't make up for the fact that no one cared.
It was filler. That was it.
Yeah.
Yes. You could have had better filler, but you picked this filler.
And the only noteworthy thing is really the finish, just because it has Eric Young acting like a moron.
Concussions are funny.
Yeah, because Eric, forgetting that it's not an escape match, decides to climb out of the cage, and as he's climbing down, Shannon Moore hits the orgasm.
I want to point out something. Eric Young shits on all possible escapes later on in the show by clearing it in half a second.
Yeah. He just jumps up.
Yeah, he jumps up and he gets over the cage in like half a second, which I have to say, well, at least Eric Young can still move, but good God, anybody else who's going to be doing that slow climb cage is going to look so pathetic when the fucking retarded mental case
he's like a
cage in a second.
He's a concussed spider monkey if he can climb that fast and scale that wall.
Basically.
And he ripped off his pants again in the middle of this match, didn't he?
Yes.
Damn it, TNA. Even though Eric Young's funny, we don't want to see his ass.
Oh, we will get to talking about asses.
Oh, God. But anyways, the finish of the match comes, Shannon Moore hits the Morgasm on Magnus and pins him 1, 2, 3, just as Eric Young gets to the bottom of the cage, and he starts celebrating like he won, and Borash announces that Inc. Inc. are the winners, and Eric starts going, "No, I won! I'm the winner!"
There's no point to this match. It wasn't for number one contendership. It wasn't for nothing. It was a nothing match. Complete filler. Not very good. Not like horrible Z grade, but not very good. But
if you want to get to horrible Z grade, we've got that coming up.
We also got denigration upon an entire division that was once good, and that's going to be coming up soon.
Actually, guys, that's coming up next. Lockdown cage match. Mickey's hair versus Madison's towel. Madison Rain versus Mickie James.
And before we get to finish, let's do a little recap. Does anybody remember when they kept bringing back the knockouts and did just for the purpose, like the former knockouts like ODB, Alyssa Flash, and Roxy? The purpose of bringing the women back was to make Madison Rain look dominant. That's the entire purpose of that. And
right.
So they've been establishing that. They've established that it's been hard for Mickie to get the title, even though it pretty much just makes it boring because no one really cared about Mickie getting the title. So and then.
But hold it, before we even go on with this match, TNA decides to cut to a different camera. The camera's focused on the sign. Now, considering I'm not the most animated character here, Magpie, I'm going to let you handle what was on the sign.
What was on the sign, basically, as described it was, and let's keep in mind, TNA had one of the best and talked about women divisions ever, the Knockout division. People were excited about it. You had different talents wanting to be a part of it, and they were just proud to showcase it. And you have a sign on your major pay-per-view that insults your talents that said, women are only good for Jello wrestling. Some other denigrating act that doesn't mean anything.
Mud wrestling.
What else that stupid sign say? Mud wrestling. And when it said actual wrestling, it was crossed out or scribbled off.
Yes.
I mean,
they
what
showed
the
that sign.
They didn't. It wasn't in the background. It wasn't by accident. No Leaf is right. They showed that sign full frontal.
They cut to that sign.
They cut
that sign in the front row.
And it was probably a planted sign, too.
There was a producer... Oh, what was that?
It was probably a planted sign.
Russo has some serious issues with women. I mean serious, deep, psychological, you're going to find hookers in his freezer issues.
It's like, God, I'm trying to honestly, this is exactly why when I write the articles, I'm not trying to plug it, but this is exactly why I don't want to talk about the knockouts. There are some really talented women there, but I always have to, but the thing with talking about a knockout is if their major of their career where they got famous at is TNA, I can't talk about the good stuff without talking about shit like this. I almost don't want to cover talent that are legitimately there and should be featured more because of this shit. And it's like, you're actually going to piss off your entire division, and you're going to say, we're worthless? Then what's the purpose of tuning into this match and watching a title exchange hands? Somebody say the results.
The results. Well, here's the thing. Madison Rain took, like, Orton level of time to get to the ring. And her entrance was longer than the match. Basically, the whole thing is, they lock up, Mickie DDTs Madison, gets the pin, match over.
After you establish her as a credible fucking threat in the lamest way possible.
Well, here's the thing, guys, and here's where I don't think you give it a pass, but here's where you have to understand. Mickie James apparently was legitimately shoot hurt, and they had already. They booked this match 2-3 weeks ago. They booked this match a long time ago. So she was legitimately hurt. She couldn't go out there and wrestle like a 15-minute match or something like that. So I understand why.
But at the same time, though, management decision, taking it away from the wrestlers, because I understand if Mickie's injured, that's beyond her point. But
I want to make one point before you start.
Go right ahead.
I want to make one point.
Go right ahead.
In what has to be kind of bizarre irony, what was Mickie injured? Her shoulder.
Yes, the shoulder she used.
The shoulder was, I guess they did that stupid motorcycle angle to have a reason for her shoulder to be injured, you know.
Even though
it was the same shoulder she used to hit the DDT, though.
Yes.
Well, you work from your left. You know, you always do. Have you ever seen someone do a right-handed DDT? It doesn't look right.
Yes, I have, and it looks fine if they know how to do it.
I've seen a couple. It doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look like it's the easiest bump to take.
But going back to I'm not trying to steal your guys' thunder, but the point I was going to make was if her shoulder is legitimately injured, why book the fucking match? Cancel it. I mean, you killed the excitement of Mickey being the championship. Just throw 2 other knockouts there for the sake of having a good match. Or throw some, or you've been building up Tara and Madison breaking up. Let's have those 2 go at it. Have Madison win some underhanded way. Give them something more than 35 seconds for a fucking title match.
Yeah, you have a point, Magpie. You know, I'm not saying you don't have a point. I was just explaining this.
Oh, no.
Because I didn't want it to be like TNA pulled what they did with Jeff Hardy. There was a legit shoot reason for them doing it. They had already booked Mickey to win the belt, so they were like, okay, let's just have her go out there, do her deal, and she'll, you know, and then she'll be Knockouts champion. So at least when she's healthy again, you know, she can be.
Yeah, I was trying to denigrate your comment or just take any significance away from it because you made a great point, and I did not know she was legitimately actually hurt. So thanks for informing me about that. I had to get that point across. But your point was valid, and it did. It was meaningful.
All right, so
I'm just really pissed off.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go to the next disappointment.
Well, before we get to the next match, we got to talk about the next backstage segment because it's Christy Hemme interviewing Matt Morgan.
Oh,
and Morgan has some interesting
God,
things
no.
to say, didn't he?
Wait, no leaf. When you hear what he says, though, you won't be sleeping much longer.
What happened? I was dreaming. I was dreaming I was having a threesome with Christy Hemme and Stacy Keibler. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was great.
Why'd you wake me up? God damn it!
We have to talk about Matt Morgan's promo. Back. I'm not gonna wait.
Okay, so
just keep going.
All right, so here, let's see. Basically, he's talking about his match with Hernandez, and he basically says, well, the one thing he says that it's time to enact his final solution. The whole deal with this Mexican America thing is that, like, oh, the white people are out to get us. You know what, Vince Russo? We know you're a xenophobic prick. This is getting a little much.
Borderline stupid and racist.
No, the thing
we've crossed that border.
It's getting a little Zig Heil.
The thing is, Vince Russo probably had no fucking idea about that shit, you know? He had no fucking clue, no idea. He's an ignorant, stupid motherfucker.
What problem, man? Final solution? What's a hit? What? I don't ever heard of the Holocaust, and forget it. Final solution. No one's gonna think anything bad of it. I'm gonna use it because no one. If I'm gonna write this, they're not gonna understand it. If they don't understand, they're not smart enough to. So I'm gonna put the final solution on my script, and it's not gonna have any negative effects.
You want Hitler? Go back to Antarctica.
I want to say something to Magpie. If you could simulate a Bronx accent, you'd probably have just had Vince Russo in the building right now.
That was a good accent? I thought he did a shitty job.
No, if you could do a good accent, you would have had Vince Russo in the building.
Oh, yeah.
But seriously,
send me a letter.
Matt Morgan, whose catchphrase is the DNA of TNA, which, you know, more eugenics there. Good work, Russo.
Yeah, let's have him spray his humanity juice all over the other wrestlers. That'll be his gimmick, because he's DNA.
And there's the subject of my nightmares for the next month.
Damn it,
but I can help.
But moving on to the next match.
Even though it was Morgan who was talking, the next match is the Joe Pope match. Again, for like the, what is it, 5th time now?
You guys are talking about a current Samoan. I'm out of here. Fuck this. I'm out of here.
Oh, God.
I'm going to go watch Joe versus Tanahashi.
We broke Magpie.
I'm watching Joe versus Kobashi. Fuck this. Joe is still amazing. He's the Samoan submission machine. He shouldn't be reduced to fucking boring.
I think we broke.
All right, I'll cover. Basically, this has been every match we've seen the Pope and Joe do. Pope runs, Joe chases after him, except for this little beautiful spot, which I have to say I'm glad that my broadcast quality was low enough so it was almost censored, but Joe pulls down the Pope's tights, and they zoom up on it.
Oh my God.
Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes and remember Danielson versus Joe. Just remember Danielson versus Joe.
I do not need to see any black person's ass, black man's ass, except my own.
But TNA really, TNA disagrees with you because they love showing off the Pope's ass.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother comes to me. Words of wisdom, but
it makes me wonder if Orlando is the producer backstage, because there was a lot of... Somebody clearly loves Pope backstage, like a lot.
As for the actual match quality, like you said, this was every match Joe and Pope have ever had. Not a bad match, but just not a good match. Not a match you could be excited about, and not a match that had any sort of need for a cage. Aside from keeping Pope in the cage so Joe could kick his ass, there was no need for the cage. It didn't feel like a cage match. It felt like a regular match that happened to be taking place inside of a cage.
Hey guys, I'm back. Are we done talking about Daniels versus Joe in the 60-minute Iron Man match for the title?
Yes, Mike.
Wrong company.
No, Magpie is absolutely right. That's exactly what we're talking about. It was a great match, Magpie.
Yeah, thanks. Oh my God! Remember that time when he did the Koji clutch and he thought he had Joe and he turned blue, but Joe was able to reach the ropes and then he picked him up and then he sidewalk slammed him.
Yeah, those were the times, Mag. So let's move on before he realizes we're lying to him.
I'm sorry, I'm just remembering the spots.
The Matt Morgan versus Hernandez match, and as I pointed out while I was watching, the way they decided to do the Mexican-American, that's the name of the faction, Mexican-American. The way they layered the flags and all the graphics and everything is, from multiple camera angles, the Mexican-American's Titantron looks like the Union Jack. And for those who have no idea what the Union Jack is, it's Great Britain's flag.
Vince Russo said, they all the same. It doesn't matter.
Christopher Walken?
Just put a foreign flag up there. The people will boo them anyways. It's the same thing with that British invasion people. Just put their Titantron up there.
It really speaks to how xenophobic Russo is, because even if you're white and you're from another country, you're evil to Russo.
But then he's from New York. He should know what a Union Jack and a Mexican-American flag would look like. I mean, okay, I can't blame Russo. I have to really blame more the guy who put the fucking Titantron together.
Oh, no, fuck that. It's always Russo's fault.
It's always Russo's fault.
Okay, I didn't know he adapted on that mindset. I'm just still amazed by that last match we saw. God, Daniels did the BME off the top of the fucking cage and got Joe and the title.
Yes, he did, Magpie. Now, moving on.
Sorry. It was just a great match.
Yeah.
So, at the very least, this match didn't end with a bullshit blood finish.
Yeah, that's not saying a whole lot. This match was, again, bad match? No. Match I'd pay to see on pay-per-view? No. Pay-per-view quality match? No. It was just so... I've seen better matches on an episode of Superstars.
And that's not insulting, because Superstars once in a while will put on a great match.
Uh-huh.
But what it's like, okay, they had, at the last pay-per-view, they had a First Blood match. Isn't that the type of stipulation you put on a match when you really need to blow something off?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, it was just this is probably the most mediocre match of the night. It was a piece of nothing match. It was just there. It existed to exist and nothing but exist. It was just lame. I want better. These two guys are capable of doing more, of doing better, of putting on a compelling match. Maybe not these two guys together, because I don't think they've ever had great ring chemistry with each other.
They're a good tag team, but as opponents, nah. It'd just be better if they fought like other opponents that were like different size. That way, they can get away with being a monster, and a guy who's smaller than them can get him a good fight. They'll make him look credible. Like if you put AJ with Hernandez, that makes AJ look credible, having the skill set to be able to take Hernandez, and Hernandez can still be the monster that he is.
Yeah, it's just a nothing match. It ends. Matt Morgan ends up winning when he hits the carbon footprint, and then after the match, we get this weird promo segment from Sarita. Gets in the ring and says, "Well, isn't that always?" Like, isn't that typical? Isn't that just like America?
I didn't realize it was typical for American to hit the carbon footprint. Although that could be... Is TNA trying to make a dig about America's pollution output or something?
They're run by... the logic in that.
They're also screaming about, like, oh, it's a conspiracy to keep us down. What conspiracy? The conspiracy that Hernandez just got his ass kicked?
It's not a conspiracy if everything's out there to see there, Sarita.
God, this LAX EV 2.0 sucks. I mean, you took out Hernandez. I mean, not Hernandez. You took out Homicide, who was awesome. You took out looking at Shelly Martin's ass, and Hernandez.
Shelly Martinez.
Whatever. Sorry, the irritation, but you took out like interesting parts of it, like Homicide being like one of the heart and souls of that group, and the way Hernandez is being presented is not interesting or compelling enough to watch. And who gives a fuck about Aguilar? I mean, maybe he might show me something that's worth his while, but so far nothing. He's just there.
Oh yeah, and then Velvet comes out and beats up Sarita.
Why? Why?
Because you touch yourself at night. That's why.
But isn't she supposed to be fighting with Winter? I mean, one of them has a Scooby-Doo Velvet's supposed to be fighting with Winter, who has the Scooby-Doo curse on Angelina Love, but yet she's still brawling with Sarita when they had the blow-off in the career match.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the lockdown cage match. Ultra male rules. 2 out of 3 falls.
It's a
Ultra male rules. I wonder how long Russo was sitting there with a notepad trying to come up with that one.
Ultra male?
Oh.
He's never been an ultra male a day in his life. Dr. Death Steve Williams is an ultra male. Fucking Hernandez technically counts as an ultra male. Jeff Jarrett's just a guy who thinks he's the honky tonk man. Only less charisma.
Oh, that's getting personal, Magpie.
Fuck him.
But
me in the ring doesn't produce anything good.
Here are the rules for the Ultra Male rules match, and I want you to listen very closely to the way I word this, because I'm pretty sure this is how they explained it. The first fall is pinfalls only. The second fall is submissions only, and the third fall, you have to escape the cage. Now, again, after I had a night to kind of think about it, this was a solid match. This is probably the match of the night on the card as a whole. was it I hesitate to call it a great match because I don't think it was a great match, but it was at least halfway decent. Am I right?
I would say it was, once again, when it comes to TNA, I would call this a great bitter match until the overbooked, crazy, stupid finish.
Well, let's go over the falls first of all. You remember that? You remember that stipulation where I said first fall is pinfall
submission, then escape the cage.
Yeah.
And spoilers, they forget that.
The first fall ends in a submission. So right away, you're fucking angled.
W here, ding ding.
Right away, the match's fucked. Right away, no one cares because all they're thinking is you fucked up, you fucked up.
Yep, they put a bullet in the brain of logic.
But again,
they never had a brain of logic.
Well, within the realms of this match, the confines.
Like I said, this isn't a bad match, and I feel like we're gonna gloss over it. It was a good match. It just like you said, the overbooked finish.
Well, first of all, even kind of long before the finish, once they get to the third fall, Kurt wins with the submission the first one somehow. Jarrett wins with a pinfall in the second one somehow. And so Jeff Jarrett tries to unlock the cage, and then Kurt kills him, basically. Lays him out, angle slam, everything. He's about to step out. In fact, he is literally out of the cage. He's just standing on the steps there, which they put in the middle now for some reason. But then he goes back in. Because I'm not done beating you up yet, even though I could just easily win the match and then do it then. It's like there's never any punishment for that in this fucking company. So basically we get another 10 minutes of Kurt kicking the crap out of Jarrett.
And then let's not forget that Kurt almost kills himself twice in this match. Twice. Let me just talk to Kurt Angle for a moment. You are an Olympic gold medalist. You have won every major championship there is to have in professional wrestling. You are an accomplished athlete. You have the respect of many, many, many people. I give you crap sometimes. But Kurt, why did you go for that fucking Frankensteiner off the top rope and almost break your neck? Why did you go for the moonsault off the top of the cage, which you completely and utterly missed? What are you trying to prove, Kurt? What are you trying to prove by using Randy Orton's RKO? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What are you trying to prove? You have nothing left to prove, Kurt. You could stop. You don't have to do this insane bullshit any longer. You have earned your respect. You don't have to hurl yourself off shit anymore. Why? Why?
And then you look at, but that rant was perfect, by the way. Great job, No Leaf. But you look at No Leaf, but No Leaf is right on the head because you take that point into context, and you're like, Kurt Angle could just say, I don't want to do cage matches in spot like that. I'm this big. I'm one of your highest paid guys or whatever he gets paid. I'm pretty sure he's up there and he is one of the guys. You could just be like, no, I don't want to do that in my contract. Fuck that. You want me to wrestle like Matt style or do that or just stay in the ring? I'll do that. But taking spots like that? No, I'm not going to. I'm this age.
That's just it then. Kurt wants to keep doing that.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. It's not that TNA is going, hey, Kurt, do this high spot. It's stuff that Kurt wants to do. This is what he wants to do. And I don't understand what he's trying to prove.
Especially what happens after.
Oh, yes. Because we have interference in this match. Because Kurt is about to climb out of the cage, and then fucking Gunner appears with a steel chair. And he's shaking it at the steel cage like, I'm going to hit you if you come down here, Kurt. And the first thought I had is, well, just jump down. Jump on him.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to react. He's not going to be able to hit you in midair. He's not going to be able to react fast enough. You'll knock the chair out of him.
Stop him. Land on him. Give him the bonsai drop. You have the advantage. It's called high ground, Kurt. You have it. Use it.
You could even spit on him. It would mildly annoy him and not as hurt as the other moves, but it's something.
Yeah, that would have been at least funny. But no, Kurt is terrified of Gunner with the chair. Until, who comes out to save Kurt Angle?
Big pump! Big pump is your hookup! Holler! If you hear me!
And he's here in Sydney!
And he's doing math, damn it.
Scott Steiner comes out of all people, and Gunner's just, oh shit, I got a chair, but there's no possible way I can stop Scott Steiner.
And we were actually talking about this earlier, weren't we? How he was supposed to be feuding with the Mortal. And I mentioned this on the Impact review. TNA, please, consistency. If you're going to drop an angle, drop it. Don't drop it, then bring it back like a month later. You can't.
It's not creative, it's stupid.
Oh, and yes, as one of our colleagues pointed out, for some inexplicable reason, after Scott Steiner grabbed the chair, Brooke Hogan tried to steal it.
Ah!
And now, do you want to get to the other spot where Angle almost killed himself?
There was another one where he almost killed himself. I thought I talked about the
moonsault.
No, I talked about the moonsault. I asked why he had to moonsault off the top of the cage.
He compounded every complaint into one big rant, which was perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. But, so after that, Kurt Angle tries to leave by the door again. And then guess who comes out? The low-rent Vicky Guerrero. The Vicky Guerrero without talent, without real heat.
It's just one big shriek.
Karen Jarrett comes out and maces Kurt.
Maced him.
And, which, I have to find funny because after Kurt was maced, he stumbled around a bit, but he was still kicking Jarrett's ass.
Yeah. So then Jarrett tries to climb out of the cage, but Kurt gets him in the ankle lock and drags him back in. So he tries to get out of the cage again, and then Karen...
Okay, here's what happens. The first time Jarrett tries to escape, Kurt pulls him back with the ankle lock, and then Karen hands him a guitar, and it's the Al Kabong, which doesn't stop Kurt. Then Jarrett gets hit with an angle slam, and he's laid out. So Angle goes out to leave again and gets the weakest door close spot I've ever seen. I mean, she put no force behind that, but that kills Kurt dead.
Jarrett leaves. Jarrett wins. Wait. You mean to tell me Jarrett won on a pay-per-view? What?
Jarrett wins in TNA. Somebody stop the presses.
Yes, let's make Jeff Jarrett more dominant than Kurt Angle.
So which means this feud is going to continue. And continue. And continue until I personally suspect the kids get in the ring.
You know, a couple months ago...
As another one of our colleagues have pointed out, because Jarrett won, he's gained the winner field of invincibility. So Kurt can't go out and just simply kill him again.
Why can't they just throw Kurt Angle in a match with, like, Daniels or something? That's why Kurt Angle went to TNA in the first place. He wanted competition. He saw competition in TNA.
Yeah,
and he had good matches
and then
in
he
TNA.
buried Joe immediately, and Joe has never recovered. Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah.
He had good matches after that, but still.
Yeah, there was a reason why in 07 and 08 it was called Total Nonstop Angle. Of course, now it's called Total Still Nonstop Angle, but the angle means something different. But there you go.
It's just Angle's an athlete. He should be going out there and kicking ass. Or attempting to.
Let's move on, because this match gives me a headache.
Anyways, the next match is, in fact, the title match. The lockdown title match between Sting, Rob Dan Van, and Mr. Anderson.
Question. Why did they put this match ahead of Lethal Lockdown?
Because you touch yourself at night.
Lockdown always lasts. It's stupid, but that's how they do it, so I won't bug them for that.
I got a better question. Why didn't they have this match at the end of Victory Road instead of just putting out Hardy?
Because that's what yourself at night.
Well, we don't need to tell people what they already know.
So basically, this match really goes nowhere except for the kind of stupid highlight of Sting gets two men in the Scorpion Deathlock, which Natalya on WWE already fucking did with the sharpshooter. Then he hits two Scorpion Death Drops, a double Scorpion Death Drop, basically. Anderson hits a double mic check, but I guess they couldn't figure out how to do it in the back. RVD only gets to hit a single 5-star.
And this match is like... go ahead.
This match wasn't bad. It was not bad. It just wasn't good. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't different in any kind of way. It was just every single other match they have had, and it happened to be inside of a steel cage. That is it.
Wait, no. We forgot what adds the spice to this match. Yes, Hulk Hogan comes down to the ring, wielding the paper cardboard tube of doom.
I want to hit him with my paper so bad. Just give him my internet newspaper of doom. That's a more effective move than Hulk Hogan's cardboard tube of doom.
So yes, he acts like he's handing it to RVD, and RVD takes it, and they're like, "Oh God, he's with Immortal now," even though that was utterly stupid. Then RVD throws it, tries to throw it back at Hogan, apparently completely forgetting there's a cage between them. And then, shockers, the asshole, which, you know what, I'm not going to bug on TNA with this because this is actually logical, grabs it and starts smacking people with it. Although he seems to utterly forget that Sting's in the match too. So then there's quick, Sting hits the death drop on Anderson, pins him, and winner and still TNA champion, a 48-year-old.
And there's two problems. And there's two problems with this. It's like with no leave.
There's going to be three problems. Let me get what the third problem is. Sting's going to be the young man in his next feud. Because you know what the next feud's going to be with? Hogan!
But going off that point, but that was a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. There's two problems with this. Like No Leaf said, this match was uninteresting like the other matches on the card. And for all of them pointing out, overbooked. But the problem is, it's a world title match. That should be one of the most interesting matches on the card. It's for the most important belt in the title. You're deciding on who's going to carry the belt and who's going to make you look strong and who's going to be the representation of your company. And that match was only like 7-8 minutes. It's a world title match.
Oh my God! This is. I feel like my energy is being drained just talking about this. I don't know what to say to this. This match, it was not great, and it should have been.
It was a rice cake match. It was nothing. Nothing's different because of the outcome. Nothing really accomplished in the match. Nothing really happened except we're getting a Sting versus Hogan match tease. Who wants to see Sting versus Hogan? No one. No one's wanted to see that from the first match that they shitted out after a year of build-up. And they had a horrible fucking match, and everybody shitted on it, and no one has wanted to see Sting versus Hogan since. These two guys have absolutely no in-ring chemistry to say nothing of the fact that they're fucking one of them almost in their 50s, and one of them is in their 50s. No one wants to see this. Hulk Hogan, you are not a draw. People are not tuning into the show to see you get back in the ring. Who gives a shit?
Especially TNA has already brought him back into the ring before.
You know what I think this is? I think this is This is TNA's response to Rock versus Cena. They're like, oh, they got Rock and Cena? What can we rehash? Sting versus Hogan. That will get ratings just like that did. So we're going to have our version of The Rock versus Cena, but we're going to have our heavyweight champion Sting versus the Immortal Hogan. That's going to drop buy rates. Then Buck says they have it on Impact.
Yeah, you know this is ending up on Impact because, that'll pop a 1.13.
All right, I think we've dwelled on this title match enough. It's time for Lethal Lockdown.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is where they have Daniels wrestle twice in one night.
The most polite and well-behaved people who hate each other ever, I have to say.
And it's like they had Daniels wrestle Samoa Joe in that match, and it was amazing. Now they're going to have him get in this catastrophe? Crap.
Yes, Magpie. That's very bad, Magpie.
So, Immortal and Fortune comes out, Immortal with their Mist trailer, and they all get on other sides of the ring before they're led into the Lethal Lockdown, and from that, absolutely nothing happens, because like I said, these men are very polite and law-abiding.
Wait, they're outside of the ring? Lethal Lockdown used to be you're backstage, and when the countdown goes on, you run from backstage to the ring. Now they're near the ring?
They're standing
Magpie. You are bringing logic into this.
God damn it! The one good match in this card, and it's bogged down by this shit.
This wasn't.
There were a few highlights in this match. And when I say highlights, I really should be saying lowlights, because Matt Hardy, in his ineptness, almost kills Daniels.
What happens is that for some reason, Lethal Lockdown, after the top comes down, no one
locked down anymore.
Yeah, no one locked the fucking cage door that everyone entered through. So Matt Hardy and Christopher Daniels climb up to the top of the cage, because we always have to have a fucking cage spot in this match. And they're fighting up there, and Daniels, is setting him up for something. And then Matt Hardy backdrops Daniels almost off the cage. Daniels barely catches himself. And then Daniels tried to...
Thank God having the presence of mind to grab the cage, or we probably would have saw him fall straight on his damn neck.
And then, to Daniel's credit, he tried to play it off like that happened on purpose, but anyone watching could have seen that was a complete and utter fuck up.
And that just goes to show you...
Yeah, it didn't help that Daniel's face was terrified.
And the thing is, it's like my fear of Daniels going back to TNA is I know Daniels wants TNA to succeed, so I'm not... And that's why he wants to give his time to it, and he has kids to feed. I understand those reasons. But my fear of him going to TNA, other than losing his contendership for the ROH title, is if they book him in an overbooked thing like this with stupid situations with people who don't know what they're doing, like Matt Hardy, I'm sorry, I lost all faith in that man, he's going to get hurt because somebody was being a fucking idiot and didn't check or take care of him. And that's going to screw up his time in other companies. So you're just like, because of these stupid matches and gimmicks and stipulations and things like that, this guy can get hurt because people. I'm gonna rant about this too much. Somebody take over.
Well, the whole thing, the match just kind of breaks down, and what really started getting me nuts was that near the end of this match, pretty much all of Immortal is dead except for Bully Ray and Ric Flair. And all of Fortune is in the ring, and Bully Ray is just going to town on these guys with a kendo stick. Like, they get up, whack, gets up, whack, gets up, whack. He's dominating four guys single-handedly. What the fuck did they... no!
You know what really set that off for me? When Bully Ray started spinning the kendo sticks around like he was some kind of master swordsman or something.
This match just evolved into a clusterfuck. Here's the problem.
Flair guts himself, by the way. Flair blades like a stuffed hog, and as far as I could tell, he didn't blade. He just started bleeding.
But here's the problem with the Lethal Lockdown concept as it is. It's a complete clusterfuck where you can't see anything happening. It's bad enough they have probably the most poorly designed cage in the wrestling business, including some independents. But the fact that you have 8 to 10 men in there, it was 8 this time, but they've been known to have 10 guys in the ring, you can't see shit. The ring is so fucking small that you can't move around and you can't do your spots. They want this
I was about to say something. Prepare to hold on to your hats because I'm about to praise WCW. Lethal Lockdown is effectively, if you don't know, a rehash of War Games, which was an old WCW match. The thing with War Games, though, is they realized that one ring was going to be far too small. So they actually brought in a second ring when they were going to do the War Games match. So it looked far less clustered, there was far more maneuverability, and there was a lot more good spots because everything wasn't crowded with 50 other guys in your way.
It's just, you can't see shit, no one can really do shit. The whole concept is lame and played out. And I couldn't even tell you if this was a good match or a bad match because I couldn't see half the shit that was happening in the match. It's just, it was just, you know what the problem with this pay-per-view was? What it was is that they had a bunch of matches on this card that should have been good, but if it wasn't for the overbooked finishes and the stupid stipulations, this could have easily been TNA's best pay-per-view of the year. And that's not, and this actually, this probably is TNA's best pay-per-view of the year. Oh, and that's not saying a whole lot, but still.
Let's go to the finish because we've been talking about this way too long. Because we actually get to end on a high note because we have the return of AJ Styles.
Yes.
I've never been more happy than for TNA to sell a major injury like that ever again. But if Styles is back, there's some ray of hope.
Yes. So Styles runs in and basically kills Immortal. And probably for the first time I can remember in a long time, the faces stand totally unopposed and triumphant at the end of the show.
It's the rare, not just pay-per-view, the rare TNA show, period, where the faces stand triumphant at the end of the pay-per-view. Which was, I will admit, a welcome change.
But it's bogged down by the fact that with TNA, if something good like this happens, we can pat them on the head for this, but we know they're going to fuck it up, so we can't get that excited for it.
Yeah, it's just all in all, Lockdown was just, like I said, it was probably TNA's best pay-per-view of the year. As Revolver Man has said before, if we're grading on a TNA curve, this was like a B. There wasn't anything too bad. Yeah, a B plus. There wasn't anything too bad. A couple of the finishes were screwy, but you got some solid wrestling. A couple of feuds were resolved, and it ended on a happy note at least. On a normal fucking grading curve, this is like a D, maybe a D minus.
Do you compare this to any other pay-per-view? Like, I know TNA looks down. I know Bischoff, working for TNA, being the representative, looks down on ROH, but you compare ROH pay-per-view to like a TNA pay-per-view or any other companies, like you said, No Leaf, D minus, if not F.
Yeah.
But for their scale, B minus.
Backlash?
I don't know. I went into this pay-per-view expecting absolute shit, and I gotta say TNA surprised me a little bit by having not total shit. It wasn't Victory Road's, which is Victory Road, which is probably their lowest point in many years. Or maybe it's just that my expectations have been lowered since then. I don't know, but I left this pay-per-view saying, like, well, that wasn't bad. It could have been better, but that wasn't bad. But none of this is going to stick with me. Like, you asked me about this pay-per-view a couple months down the line. I'm not going to remember any of it.
Exactly. It was just a nothing rice cake pay-per-view. Revolver Man, final thoughts?
like I said, for TNA, this was a good pay-per-view. Talented men, overbooked, fuck finishes, but it's a good sign to TNA's talent that they can make this work. And honestly, with the fact that we didn't see Hogan laughing over every dead body of Fortune at the end of the match, makes me happy. So you know what? Thumbs up.
Well, the funny thing about it is that Jay Lethal got screen time tonight, but I'm telling you, Jay. Jay, we love you, man, but we're still going to have to do everybody's favorite segment, What's Got More Screen Time than Jay Lethal?
Whoa.
I'll start us off. Brooke Hogan got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
She did get more screen time than Jay Lethal.
Kurt Angle being on Twitter, blocking us, somehow got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
Yes, another blocked.
A derogatory sign towards their own Knockouts division got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
Damn it, you took my answer.
Terrible.
Damn it. All right, I'll just fix it. What got more screen time than Jay Lethal? A poorly constructed cage. Damn it, Olive, you took my good answer.
You know what? I'm going to end this with a positive, though. The Faces Triumphant got more screen time than Jay Lethal, and for TNA, that's great.
Joe versus Daniels. Awesome.
Yes, Magpie. Joe versus Daniels was very good. We're gonna have to explain some things to Magpie when the show goes off the air, because I think we might break him.
What are you talking about? You have nothing to explain to me. That match was great.
So anyway, for the dark match, I'm No Leaf Clover.
I'm the Revolver Man.
I'm Backlash.
I'm Magpie.
And we will see you next time, folks. Good night and good luck. So Magpie,
hey, that's my line.
So Magpie, here's what happened. Joe and Daniels didn't actually wrestle on this pay-per-view.
No, yes they did. It was amazing.
No, Magpie.
It happened. I watched it. Backlash, you saw it. He did the Koji clutch, and Joe picked him up, grabbed the rope, picked him up, and did the air raid crash. It was awesome. Revolver Man, you saw it.
Bad.
You saw it?
I got a couple pills here for you. They're going to make the bad go away, okay?
No!
Fuck the pills. Ejected.
It happened.